How's everybody doing out there? Can you guys see us? We, of course, in this crazy world, Zoom is giving us all the issues in the world.
I can't hear.
And we're trying to make do with what we have. Zoom is giving us a few issues, so we're trying a new platform. If you guys are out there, let us see you. Let us know that you're there. All right. We're going to give a little time to come in. Can you guys see us? Thomas, can you hear me? LaShondra, can you hear me?
I got you loud and clear.
All righty. Thomas, can you hear me? Guys, bear with us. Like literally, this is the age that we're living in. Everybody is streaming everywhere. So we are on the fly pulling together something new. We're using a new platform called Be Live instead of Zoom to kind of get our message and all of everything out to you guys. But yeah, we're excited about today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So today we are going, I am one of your guests. I'm Cece Shabazz. I am the creative director, content strategist, everything with brand strategist for Mad Genius Advertising Agency. We are based out of Jackson, Mississippi with a office in Ocean Springs. And one of the things that I do is just help brands figure out what their best strategy is. So I'm one of your hosts today for our talk session, marketing, where we're going to talk about a little bit of the tips and trends associated with everything that's going on with COVID. One of my special guest co-hosts is LaShondra over here. LaShondra, do you want to tell them a little bit about what you do?
Well, currently I work for the City of Gulfport as a public information officer, which means I disseminate as much information for the city as possible and try to keep our citizens informed. Before then, I was doing consulting work for businesses on social media marketing, how to develop their brand, and helping them with their training so they could actually take off on their own to develop their own marketing plans.
Good deal. All righty, guys. So, and I just want you guys to continue to bear with us. Hi, Tracy. I see you coming in. I'm seeing you guys come in. This will give you a little time to invite a friend while we're getting things together because we have some fantastic information to share with you. Bear with us. Zoom completely went out on us a little bit, but we wanted to. We're trying to do the best what we can with another platform. Guys. So, and I just want you guys to continue to bear with us. Hi, Tracy. I see you coming in. I'm seeing you guys come in. This will give you a little time to invite a friend while we're getting things together. We have some fantastic information to share with you. Bear with us. Zoom completely went out on us a little bit, but we wanted to. We're trying to do the best what we can with another platform, guys. So, and I just want you guys to continue to bear with us. Hi, Tracy. One of us are going to have to mute. Yeah, like we're going to go ahead and mute, and we're going to get into when Thomas comes back in. We'll kind of tell you a little bit about Thomas and tell you a little bit about what we're trying to do today with the Legacy Talk series. So, guys, again, bear with us. We have been trying to work out technical difficulties with Zoom like ever since yesterday. So, but we had great information, and we wanted to have an opportunity to just share with you and make sure that we are doing the best that we possibly can. Okay, there, Thomas. We're going to get Thomas back into the screen. Let's see if we can get him back in here. Okay, let's see here, guys. Bear with us.
All right, I hear you. Do you hear me?
Guys, awesome. Can you guys hear Thomas?
All right.
Fantastic. We are at a go. You know what? Nothing can stop marketers. We're going to go ahead and try to do what we possibly can do, guys. So, because bear with us. So, like, just to tell you guys a little bit about the Legacy Talk. series. One of the missions of the Legacy Business Lead is to empower minority professionals and businesses by providing a network that assists in the building and expanding of our members through shared resources, professional development, all along the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Our mission is to fuel our mission is fueled by the sacrifices made by past generations and goals to just create a legacy. And one of the reasons why we're doing these talk sessions is just our goal is to share information, to give you access to people all across the globe, like people like LaShondra and Thomas, who can help you meet some of your business needs. Okay, guys, we are still having a couple little issues. Bear with us. So, LaShondra, while Thomas is coming back in, what we'll do is just talk to a little bit of talk to our people a little bit about what we're seeing in trends. Can you tell me about like some of the things that you're seeing along the lines of trends right now?
Well, one is that people are far more in tune to what's going on and what's being distributed than they've ever been before. And that's a benefit to that is that you have a massively captive audience. So for those who have not decided that they were going to venture out into social media, this is a wonderful time to do it. It's not great that people are quarantined, but the fact that they are sitting at home means you actually have more access to a larger audience than you normally would. Um, what I'm seeing, even with the city page, is people are looking for the things that are most relevant for them. So I had to throw out some things that would normally been distributed, and I'm basing everything that is pushed out generally off of what people are eating on. And what I mean by that is what are they sharing? How are they engaging? Like if I put up something that is helping people in regards to job accessibility, new training, I mean, they are sharing that stuff phenomenally. And so that tells me I need to give them more of that. So when I research what I'm going to share, I'm beefing it up on what they really need to know more about. They need to know about the SBA. They need to know about programs that are available to help their businesses be sustainable, how to help their employees. And there are a lot of people who are asking, what's going to happen with the homelessness population. And so I'm getting some more information on that. How can I stay in my housing? And I'm using a lot more of their comments to kind of gear in what I'm actually going to put out.
Gotcha.
And people will tell you what they want. I think that this is an opportunity for people who are in marketing to really pivot. And I mean, we're pretty good on our feet anyway, but to really think about what are people digesting, and sometimes you have to put your plan aside of what you actually want to share and really listen to what they're saying in their conversations to each other. Because a lot of what I pick up is what I'm reading them say. And sometimes we don't like to really dig into the comments because, people can be brutal sometimes or don't really understand why certain decisions are being made. And even if there's confusion, that's a point that says, okay, you know what? If they don't understand what I'm putting out, I need to put out something that's going to explain it better. I need to put out an infographic. I need to, really bring this language down to a level that they can understand, because it doesn't matter how often we put information out. If people don't get it, it's not effective.
That makes sense. So we're going to introduce our guest speaker, Thomas Broadus. He is one of my favorites in the industry. He is the director of digital strategy for Infinity Marketing. Thomas, do you want to tell us a little bit about what your role is?
Yeah, so I work for Infinity Marketing, but spent 6 years working with CC right there on the Mississippi Gulf Coast from
That's
Pascagoula.
right.
So very familiar with the area and what's happening down there. Known LaShondra for a few years now, going through leadership and meeting her husband, John. So excited to spend some time with some of these folks who, really when I look at this group, have some power players and some really, really smart folks. So excited to be speaking with them today to share a little bit about it. But my main role as a director of digital strategy is to work with folks so that they can understand the tools at their disposal to meet their goals. Whether their goals are, look, I've got a nonprofit program I need people to come into, so I need a lot of brand awareness, or you know what, I got to put food on the table for my family, and I'm doing that with my small business by selling whatever it is. How can we focus on search and other goals to make sure that they're doing those things? So everything's on the table in my role, whether that's television, radio, influencer programs, social media, obviously, guerrilla marketing, all those things kind of fit within my strategy umbrella.
Good deal. So one of the things that we're going to talk about, and we're going to try to see if we can get some of your slides up. Again, guys, if you have time to go invite a friend, we're live. This is what happens. One of the things that are going on, one of the biggest trends that we see going on is everyone streaming. Streaming is like across the platform. Every last platform that you can possibly think about on social media, everyone's streaming. So it's going to be really good for you to embrace technology during this time. I gotta tell you, it's really good for you to embrace technology during this time. So one of the questions, while we're trying to get our slides together and get this going, Thomas, one of the questions that a lot of business leaders are asking is just like, we're in the middle of a crisis. It's like we had not seen anything like this since the late 1800s. And the first thing that people want to do is stop their advertising. They want to stop marketing. They don't want to. They don't want to spend the money.
Yeah. That's their first thought, right? So I need to save everything that I can because I need to do some things with that money. I may need to hit payroll. I may need to, again, put food on the table. I need to put whatever it is that needs to happen. But it depends on two main tactics on how you want to attack the problem. All right. So there's patience and understanding. I want to be relevant to my community. So I'm gonna continue to do some things, and maybe I shift my dollars, right? If I don't have to be so conversion focused. But it's really all about people need to know you're here, especially if you're a small business to medium-sized business. And they need to know if your services are still available, they need to know that. So you can do it in a couple ways. One is social media becomes a huge opportunity for folks to really focus on community. What's going on in that community? What are people around me doing to support my community? What am I doing? What is my family doing? And you know what? That may be just staying at home. That could be a big thing, right? Not risking those around us. Or many of us have family members that may be considered high risk that we want to see, right? Especially during Easter and all these things that we just rolled through.
Exactly.
That we make some hard decisions that seem, like you're not doing anything, but in reality you are. So how are you telling that story? But if you want to deploy some dollars, right now, to be honest, we're seeing some very interesting trends in the media space where digital video on OTT or CTV, right? This is when you're using Sling, Hulu, any of those things on that big screen in your house where you're streaming. We're actually seeing inventories increase and demand drop because people are pulling dollars out. Now, supply and demand tells me, and we're seeing this true with all of our vendors, and we place, in over 40 states for a lot of different companies. We're seeing it being more cost effective than ever to deliver video through digital media. So if you want to be on Discovery Channel, or if you want to be on HGTC, or you want to be on any of those channels that matter to you, you can do it now pretty economically if you have a video asset to deploy, whether that's a 30-second spot or a 15-second spot. And also, there's a ton of folks out there right now that are sitting at home that are very crafty and skill-oriented, that if you don't have that spot, put out a call on your channel and people would be interested to help and support in that way. So we're seeing video become very affordable on that CPM, that cost per 1,000 impression that we kind of hold as the metric in media advertising. And that's a really exciting opportunity. In fact, we are encouraging a lot of folks, look, if you can play the patience game, you don't have to put, anything for sale right now. CTV is a great way to be community driven and to get your message out and brand awareness. Now, the flip to that is, you know what, Thomas, I got to be selling some stuff. I got to be getting people in the door. I got to be getting new signups. How can I do that? Paid search is still a fantastic option right now. In fact, we're seeing in some spaces, if you're in B2B, we're seeing hardly any slowdown at all for a lot of big contract driven stuff. So if you're in construction, if you're in electrical, if you're in plumbing, right, those services don't change because people aren't going into the office, because our homes are our office now, right? So people are still looking for a lot of those services in different ways. We're not seeing any disruption there. Where we are seeing some disruption is in financials. And every time the stock market report comes out, we're seeing a spike go up or down depending on what people are in need of. So before all this happened, I don't know if anybody remembers 8 weeks ago, we had some of the lowest mortgage rates in history. right? So people and banks were taking advantage of those opportunities, right? New car loans, right? Especially transportation wise. How do I get from job A to job B? Or how am I going to get to school from wherever it is that I want to go? Well, all those things were doing well until, the market completely tanked. And since then, we've seen a lot of different kind of variety in what's happening there. So for retail, obviously huge challenges. So the patience game is important. Focusing on your people, your families that work there, right? Showing them wearing the right gear, doing the right things. But if you're in B2B or if you're doing direct sales, restaurants did a great job at innovating from side delivery sales, right? Let's talk about
Mm-hmm.
White Pillars right there in Biloxi. You can go by there and pick up all the ingredients you need and take it home and make it yourself. So really innovation is going to be key to a lot of that. But don't stop spending because you're hoarding it, right?
Yeah.
If you need those dollars, obviously put them where they need to be prioritized, but don't stop spending just because you want to save those dollars. They can be deployed and they can be successful for you right now.
Good deal. Thomas, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to see if I can share this, because the next question that we have is we have a slide that says, should I be spending? I'm going to see if I can share that slide.
Okay. I see it. Yeah. So if you can hear me, what we're looking at here is the actual chart as of the mid April. So mid this month, blue line that you're seeing on the top is really your focus in on what we're seeing from an inventory. And then your purple line that's dipping down is really what you're seeing from a demand. So this is the exact thing that we were describing when we're talking about there's more inventory than ever before in the digital CTV space. So people are watching more, they're streaming more, right? We're all on this phone. Right now, we're probably binging more TV than we have in a long time because we're at home. Well, guess what that means? More people are consuming, not a whole lot more people are investing. So you get a great deal and a benefit if you did want to deploy in that digital space. And this is from our partners at the Trade Desk. So they're a big digital placement company, is who Infinity uses. We've got some 20 plus buyers that utilize this platform. So we're fortunate to have a good partner there and to get lots of good data from them. And see, yeah, if you want to go to the next slide. So this is the other question that we get a lot is, all right, so you're telling me I can be spending now. How much? Well, there's a whole lot of stuff that goes into that. All of us could go to a realtor, say, hey, I would love to buy a house. How much would that cost? Well, we can immediately understand all the needs there. How much square footage do you need? What's the yard, right? What's the location? What do you want to do as far as the number of bedrooms and bathrooms and those kind of things? So what we really want to do here is look at the funnel. Where do you fit into that funnel? And then you can decide some things on how much you should be spending. So you need to be patient and you want to drive awareness, lots of digital videos, lots of social, and a lot of organic social isn't going to cost you but your time and your resources to kind of think about and be creative in that space. So low cost could be big reward, whereas consideration really gets into that more paid media. I want to be spending retargeting. When somebody comes to my website, I want to hit them again with an ad. We've all done this. You've been to Amazon, you've looked at a pair of shoes, you go to Facebook, boom, those shoes are right there waiting for you. Retargeting deployments. And then all those things really go down ultimately to that purchase or that in conversion. And we're seeing search do a great job of that. Now, the how much question really depends on who's your audience, how many people are in your demo, what's your geography, what are you trying to reach? Do you want to get really small and circle a block in a city, or are you wanting to circle, say, every restaurant within a city? If you're selling, we have one client that sells disinfectant wipes to restaurants, right? So what an opportune time for them to be reaching more restaurants with that product. And then ultimately, you've got to set some goals. How much do I want to see returned on the dollars that I'm spending? And you'll work closely with your partner to really understand what do those dollars look like when they're coming back in. So there's not an easy answer here on how much you should be spending, but you've really got to think about it strategically. What do you want to do? Where in the funnel do you fit in? The higher in the funnel, the lower the cost per user. The lower in the funnel, you get down to that intent of that purchase, the higher it's going to cost you to really get that in conversion. So thinking about those things and what your pain points, that'll help you get there. When you're planning and you're talking to an agency or you're talking to somebody that's going to help you with your media components, just remember, a really good media partner isn't going to try to make you spend more money. They're going to make your dollars be very effective. So come in where you want to be, and then we can help understand where in the funnel that we can fit you and make those dollars be effective. But could you be successful with a several $100 monthly campaign in paid search? Yeah, depending on the competition in those keywords. Could you be effective with a digital awareness ad, right, on CTV, where you want to be on Hulu and you want to be on Sling and ESPN Plus with a couple $100 a month? Probably not. You're not going to be able to invest in that space. So also think about where you want to be in association with your brand. All right, I think we've got one more slide after this one that's another frequently asked question. So now you're thinking about what should I be saying. There's a lot of words on the screen. I know it may be kind of hard to see, but this is from our partners at Google, and they sent us some things and some trends that they see that they believe are working, and they're seeing in a large group of different verticals. So whether you're in healthcare or marketing or sales or retail or whatever it is, these are things that have considered when you're talking. Number one is be helpful, right? So what are you saying? Is it helpful? Is it, woe is me? Probably not the greatest way. Oh, thank you for maximizing that. Probably not the greatest way to really be talking about or to your customers, focusing on, things that aren't positive right now or aren't helpful. So give those customers some credible, detailed information and talk about why you should separate yourselves from your other competitors. Find new communities. Everybody's talking about innovation right now. So what can you do in the innovation landscape? Create new groups, just like this Legacy Business League. Where can you find out? Maybe it's your neighborhood. Maybe in your neighborhood, right? Those community members right next door, they've got a lot of small businesses. So maybe you come together and figure out different ways to support one another, right? Think about timing of the 24/7 cycle, which just means when you're talking and how you're saying it is just as important. So if you're saying it every morning at 7 a.m., but you're not getting any action, well, think about that time when everybody sits down after dinner, right? Hit them at 7 p.m. and see what happens. Hit those folks that are up late at night. Hit those second shift, right? All of our healthcare first responders that are working multiple shifts, that first shift, that second shift, their cycles need to be considered too. So hit them at midnight, schedule some things, do that. Go big on promotions if you can, if you have an opportunity, right? And you're sitting on inventory, moving that inventory, rethink your margin of victory. So if normally you're making a 10 to 15% margin, say you're selling a clothing line, or you're really getting out there with some t-shirt sales, what does it look like if I go 7% in this time frame? Do I move more pieces? Do I keep the lights on, put food on the table, and make a little bit of savings? Maybe. So really think about what that looks like. And then ultimately embrace that novelty. So understand that everybody's going through the same struggles of being at home. Everybody's going through right now some of the challenges of that wanderlust of going outside, right? How many of you have thought about when you went to the grocery store, like, this is going to be an adventure. I'm going to realize when I'm in the grocery store how much I'm breathing other people's air or the things that I'm touching that they have. Everybody has that shared experience. So in your messaging, in your storytelling, don't be afraid to really highlight some of those shared experiences. So this was something that we felt worked really well. We've deployed it in a lot of our social strategies and our messaging, including in video. And it's been a really smart kind of way to embrace the chaos and the change, and ultimately the innovation that this time period is going to force us into. Move that over.
That is some great information. I think one of the things that I wanted to encourage people is just like right now, it seems like business owners need to understand that right now that consumers want to hear from them. I want to to other people, just like, this is the first time in tech history that I know of. This is the first time in tech history that you have a captivated audience online. So everybody is thinking about, everybody, they're looking for you, they're searching for you, they want to hear what you have to say. So when you have your brand voice, when you're thinking about your brand voice, you need to be intentional with the things that you put out there and what you say. A lot of times right now, because we're on social media, you have to produce a ton of creative content. But think about some of the inventory that you already have available, some of the creative that you already have available, some of the things that you've already done, and how can you use that to put that information right back in front of your people. So let me ask you, LaShondra, have you seen any changes and shifting that you've had to make within your field?
Oh, of course. I mean, a lot of our stuff is internal, and the expectation is that people are going to walk through the doors and have this experience. Well, the doors are not open right now. So my conversation this past week with the directors has been, how do we make this relevant for people? So other than, updates, which everybody is doing, what information could you put out there to educate people who cannot walk through those doors? So we're actually working together with a couple of them to put some things together that they can actually distribute that will educate people, and help them to stay connected. Like, you're still a part of the city even if you can't come in, and we're still open and providing services to people. They just look a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of being able to walk in the door, you're applying online. I was actually planning to do an event with the SBA, and it was supposed to launch March 28th. Well, of course, things were closed by then, and we couldn't do the event. So how can we still disseminate that information to people? Well, it looks like there'll be videos online as opposed to them sitting in a room listening to us talk to them. So you have to pivot. Technology does give you the opportunity to do it, and it's not the same. I think that if we had done something virtually before, people would have been upset and said, well, why can't we come in and see you? We want to be able to talk to people. We want to network face to face. And since none of us are in a position where we can actually do that, I think that this is a point where people are more willing to take it how they can get it,
Mm-hmm.
as long as they actually receive the information. And yes, people are digesting much more video than they normally do. And I think that this is probably a point where things that are funny and take advantage of humor are, you know, being shared more often than not. I mean, we've seen the videos of the people who put the soap on the floor and they're pretending to be on the treadmill. I mean, that's hilarious. And there's so much creativity that's burgeoning now. So even for your brands, where it's appropriate, take advantage of the fact that you can probably be a little more lax and don't have to be as staunchy and corporate as you normally would, and tell the people something that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
For small business owners, and I've really been pushing this, so it's, almost apropos that this is occurring. Take advantage of the stuff that you normally do
Yeah,
and use it as an
exactly.
opportunity to educate. So if you are a caterer, yes, pack up your stuff and tell people that you'll deliver it. But also do a little video. What is your process? You don't have to give them your entire recipe, but use this as an opportunity to educate them so that they can see you as an expert in your field and not someone who only supplies a particular set of services.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I completely agree. The time right now is just because of the time that we're in. It's important for you to be supportive to your customers. Instead of like selling to them, show support, show them how they can do something specifically. Before we go to questions and answers, before we go to questions from our audience, and thank you guys so much for bearing with us and tuning in. We were just like, we were going to make this thing happen, and we have been working hard on it. How does so everybody right now, Thomas, now I'll address this to both of you guys. We're all going to like Facebook Live. We're going to LinkedIn. How does what happens on our social channel need to connect to what happens on websites?
Yeah, so there's so many different technology opportunities now to create content on your website that really bringing it forward from social is a key component of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're much more accustomed to writing social posts, very short, brief content, very impactful in messaging,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to maybe combating that with what we think needs to go on our website, whether that's a long blog, like 600-800 words and a picture, right? But embedding a lot of that social content or adding that feed into your website can create a lot of relevancy and a lot of immediacy in content. Websites like new content. The more new content you have on there, the better you're going to be. So those are all strong things. And I just saw in the chat, Coach C. Wright just joined. So, Coach, good to see you. Coach my son Logan for a couple years, but glad to see C. Wright in the room.
Good deal. So right now, guys, if you have any questions, here's a good time to ask your questions. I know that we did have a question before. I want to say from Leo, a little question before. How do you generate quantitative data? Now, I'm wondering if we can get to this. How can you generate quantitative data from a social media campaign? Is there benchmark data to use in forecasting?
Ooh, that's a great question. We got a business person in the room, like somebody who's really deep diving into here. Yes. So there's a couple of tools that we use. One is a website that for great kind of benchmark data. It's called WordStream. And if you go now and you Google WordStream Facebook benchmarks, you're going to find a great blog that they update. And that blog will show you by vertical. So whether you're in retail, the service industry, healthcare, accounting, government services, you're going to see some benchmarks that they collect from their large group of clients. Normally it's like 1,000 plus included in that survey. So that's going to give you some good insight to really see what should I be comparing myself with. And it's also not overblown because it's not from just what, say, if we were to compare that with what's happening in New York City or in LA or even Atlanta, right? It's going to be skewed for us in smaller markets. So it's good to see that wide group of stuff. But WordStream, Facebook benchmarks. They also have one for Google if you're interested. So it'll give you Google search. It'll give you Google display. But that's a great tool to be able to do that. WordStream and then Facebook benchmarks. You'll find it.
Good deal. Let's see. Here's another question from Angie Juzang. What podcast or inspiration we should be using for personal and professional development or for marketing professionals?
Yeah, that's a good one. So in the social space, Social Media Examiner has a weekly series that does a lot of good work that you can really sink your teeth into. It's topic driven, so you can peek in if work's really busy this week. That topic may not be exactly what you're looking for, so you can continue to cycle back in when it's important for you. So think about it in those terms of find those big groups. Social Media Examiner is a great one. Social Media World is another one. On the the dollar side, there's one that I use called Media Post that gives me lots of big information about changes that are coming in the media space. If I'm managing a lot of dollars that are going into display or video or TV, Media Post gives me a lot of news to really think about what's going on in that space. And I'll tell myself a little bit here, I'm not a big podcast guy, so I can't give you one that I wish I could, that you could just plug into and listen and download. But if you love the psychology of marketing and how people think, I will plug the podcast, You Are Not So Smart. It's actually from a guy based out of Hattiesburg, David McCraney. Does a great job. It's got over probably close to 300 different episodes now. But you can really understand the psychology of your audience. And that stuff really fascinates me in a lot of ways of how we communicate, why we communicate, that kind of stuff. So I do listen to that one. But in marketing, I'm much more fast-paced and consuming. So I go to websites and I hit Twitter. I find a lot of stuff on Twitter that really kind of works for me.
I want to add something to the resources. I like HubSpot.
Mm-hmm.
They do a lot of white papers, a lot of different resources, and
appreciate that, Leo. Thanks.
They're pretty good if you want to keep up as well. And similar to you, I don't really do podcasts. Not for media. Not to learn about social media marketing. That's not why I listen to podcasts. Like I listen to Super Soul Sunday.
In the comments, we'd love to see if you've got something that you listen to or a website that you really like. Drop it in there. I'd love to check it out.
Another thing that and before because we're right at the end of our sessions. If there's any other questions, and do right now, just like how the Legacy Business League is doing, there are a ton of companies. Some of your best brands are doing free free Zoom conferences, free virtual events like Ad Week is one that I go to, some sort of virtual event.
Yeah.
Every single week. They have fantastic content, dealing with a lot of what's going on right now. If you look at our industry, posting is not the same. The time of day that you come online is not the same. The way that you talk to your audience is not the same. And there's professionals in each one of your favorite marketing platforms. Every week they are giving out free information. So make sure that you tune into things like that to see take advantage of it, because like those events are usually paid events and now they're completely for free. If this is the time to just test technology like we're doing today, test technology. It's just like our what we're telling people is just to progress over perfection. Look at some of the ways that you can look at your analytics. What time is your audience coming online? What do they want to say? Here is a time for you guys to play a little bit. Take the money that you would usually use for sponsorship, use it for new ad buys, use it to just have use this time to pivot.
Yeah. Now hold on. We're gonna pass over that like you didn't just say that, but progress over perfection, I wrote down. I don't know if that's a CCism and you're trademarking that, but that's exactly what we're looking at. You got to be a little fearless.
Yes.
Be a little reckless. You got to innovate. And you can do that if you've never done social. That's an easy way for you to innovate. Maybe you've been on social. Maybe you haven't been on Twitter. Maybe you really haven't focused on Instagram or Instagram stories.
Right.
Maybe now's a great time to kind of put some energy into your website. Your website is the key to everything and every story that you want to tell a public audience. But maybe there's some things that have been nagging you about, you know what, I really need to do this, or I need to revamp, or I need to redesign. Now's the time to do that.
Exactly. I completely agree. So that is our spiel. We have a couple of examples. Tracy Williams, thank you so much. We are loving this. Thank you guys for coming out so much. But this is another podcast. We love that. If you have any other podcasts, we want to show them in the chat. Bring them up, guys. We want to know what you guys are doing. What are you guys saying?
Yep.
Angie, I completely agree. Progress over perfection. That's what we're doing today. We were like, you're just going to fail.
That's right.
But it is, and just like because everyone's learning, and here's another thing, guys, because everyone's learning, every brand is repivoting. If you look at some of your favorite brands right now, every last one of them are pivoting. They're using the content. Mm-hmm. We're all in this place where we don't know exactly what to say, but we're experimenting to see how we can take our message and how it relates to people. What are you doing with your company right now in this time of quarantine? What are you doing? Are you just sitting there? Are you just setting up your content on your social media channels and you're not going back into looking them? It's not business as usual, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing in order to push you out of some of the places that you've been before. So, guys, this has been fun. Any takeaway before we go? Any more questions in the chat before we go? Nothing? Okay, this has been extremely fun. Any takeaways, guys, before we head out here? Again,
I would just say thank you so much for your time, Lysandra, Cece. Really appreciate the invite to be able to join you guys for this little bit of time and talk about something that we're all passionate about, right? Serving our communities, creating answers for business owners, really empower them to be better than they've ever been before. So thank you for your time today.
I appreciate it. Thomas and Lysandra, you guys are some of the best in the industry. Thank you for all of you guys in the chat. We see you. Thank you for hanging in there with us. We pulled it off. But this is not the end. The Legacy Business League, we are just dedicated to bringing more information for you. So like whether it is money matters or things with education or marketing, stay tuned just for more content from us. You can find us online and check out our website. The website is scrolling along the bottom right there, www.imlegacy.org. We want to make sure that and let us know what you want to do. Marketing, we have tons of additional information. If you want to hear more from the marketing, because we're so awesome, high five in the air, guys. We're just, there it is. We just are so there's tons of information, and the biggest takeaway for me, guys, is just like now is not the time to be in fear. Now is the time to connect with your audience more than ever. So again, make sure that you stay tuned for more from the Legacy Talk series. We got so much more to bring to you, and yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you.